My normal shifts during the day were 9 to 5, like most people on that day. We were short-handed on the night shift because the last person who worked during the hours had just quit. We had lately had a whole lot of people quitting the night shift, so that meant I had to cover. Weirdly enough, I had never had to work the graveyard shift before then, and I was actually excited for it. I had brought some coffee and a 5-hour energy with me because the hours ran from 10 to 5, and there's just no way I could make it that far naturally. I got to my tower right before 10, when it was already pitch black, and the cold July night had fully set in. The tower was fairly tall, with several flights of stairs leading up to the top. The whole thing was mostly surrounded by a thick forest, except for the trail I came in from, and a murky pond that was just to the right of the tower's legs. The pond itself was covered in those little frog pads, and had algae floating around on the surface. It was actually quite big for a natural lagoon. I climbed up and all I could hear was the non-stop sound of crickets and frogs and the occasional owl. When I hit the top, I fumbled with my keys until I found the right one and walked right on in. The one room was small and square-shaped. 3 of the walls were mostly glass, and the other one was an opaque and had the door I just came in. The roof went up like a pyramid for a short length until it peaked, and it was all made of wood. To my left was a nicely made bed and a nightstand, a lamp, and a flashlight on top. Not like I'd be using the bed though. On the wall next to that was my CB radio and communication stand, which every one of those towers had. Next to that sat my refrigerator and a microwave, which was part of a small kitchen that extended into the other wall as well. Inside the kitchen sat the right wall were several cabinets, some small ones that held snacks and some canned foods, and another set of giant cabinets that I couldn't open, which likely had vacuums and other cleaning supplies that were above my pay grade. Roomy. I went over to the communication stand and did my standard check to make sure everything was properly working. I called the ranger station channel and said, "Well, Donnie, it looks like it's just me and you tonight." Donnie didn't say anything back, so I figured he was just taking a shit. I went and grabbed the flashlight on the stand and reached into one of its drawers, pulling out a set of binoculars from it. I went back out to the balcony and checked to make sure no fire hazards or any kind of other dangerous things were over there. Once I checked that box off my to-do list, I headed back inside and pulled out a chair from the communication stand and put it by one of the glass walls and grabbed the granola bar from the kitchen cabinets to munch on. I put the binoculars up to my eyes and looked over the surrounding forest. It didn't seem like any animals were up and about, and no birds were in the sky either. I skimmed over a couple of clearings to make sure there were no teenagers were off camping illegally. Then I went and peeked over the far right edge, and I saw a snowman standing alone in a gap of trees. Hold the fuck up. It was July. I peeked again to see it wasn't a snowman, but some kid in a shitty ghost costume. It looked like the one from Charlie Brown, with big black holes for eyes that looked more like they were colored black than actual holes. The kid was still and staring right in my direction, unmoving. I couldn't see the kid's parents anywhere, and by now it was rolling up on 11, so that meant something was up. I broke contact on the kid and walked to the radio, calling into the station. "Donnie, you off the shitter yet?" "Barely made it out, but I'm here," I chuckled. Donnie was always good for a good laugh. "There's some kid with a blanket walking around the southeast sector, and they look alone." "A blanket? What the hell are you talking about?" "It's a ghost costume. It's got black holes for eyes and stuff." "You mean like a Charlie Brown car? Can you go check it out?" "Yes, I'll go out and see what's up." I'll call in on the walkie-talkie and tell you what I see. Roger that. I turned off the radio and crossed my eyes over to the nightstand drawer to grab the walkie-talkie. Once I had it, I sat back down in the chair and pulled the binoculars to my eyes, zooming in to where the kid was. The ridge was empty. No kid in sight, which I knew would make this 1,000 times harder. I put up the antenna on the walkie-talkie and dialed into the right channel. Donnie, you hear me? Yep, loud and clear. I'm getting close to the sector. I'm heading up the ridge for a vantage point. Perfect, that's where I saw the kid. But they've moved on since then. Well, I'll just check around to see if I can't find anything. I watched as Donnie came over the ridge, waving his flashlight around in the dark, until he looked towards the tower and shrugged. Nothing over here. Damn. Hopefully he turns up again. Until then, I'll just notify the police and check any missing reports. Alright, I'll go back to... Danny's voice cut out, and I saw his flashlight turn off in the distance. The small lit up spot where he stood was swallowed in darkness. Donnie, you there, Donnie? I heard no response. I rushed outside the door and around the corner to where I saw him, yelling his name, only to hear my voice echo in the woods. And that's when it hit me. There wasn't a single other sound in the entire forest. The crickets and frogs had stopped chirping. The wind didn't rustle through the leaves. Everything was completely standstill. I could hear my heartbeat throbbing in my ears, and nothing else. I moved my flashlight around the woods for some futile attempt of finding him. I got in that state of mind where I was so scared, my throat closed up, and if I had felt like something very bad was going to happen, I had to do something now. I turned around as I did, and I glanced at the stairs below me. At the bottom stood a skinny, horrifically angled woman. She was tall, dripping with water, and black hair, and dark, murky blue skin that stretched across her bent and broken bones. Her gray dress was shredded, and her black shoes were muddy and wet, and her eyes were milky white, and her mouth hung wide open like a snake, like her jaw had been grossly broken. She let out a blood-curdling and ear-piercing scream of agony and began to shuffle up the stairs so fucking fast. I snapped out of fear and lock. I ran up the fuck back inside, slamming and locking the doors behind me. There was no way she could run that fast. Even if all of her bones weren't broken in wrong directions. I ran back to the kitchen and grabbed the biggest knife I could find, and then I pulled out the walkie-talkie, screaming into it, "Is anyone there? Donnie, where the fuck are you? Someone answer me, goddammit!" Then I heard the creaking of the door. I slowly turned and I froze when I saw what was there. The door was still there, locked and shut, and had been completely undisturbed. What scared me was the lock on the giant cabinet that now stood open, with the kid dressed like Charlie Brown's ghost standing right in front of it. I stood there, unmoving, until I heard the little shit giggle. I recognized that giggle. No fucking way. I pulled the sheet off to see Donnie's kid, Marvin, spotting a smirk and a walkie-talkie. "Dad, Joey, I got him." Ha, pissed his pants, just like I said he would, right? He and his other son laughed from the other end of the walkie. I was mad, but glad I wasn't about to get murdered by some goddamn wooden tower. I grabbed his walkie and shot Mac. Pissed me off. "What you did, you fucking asshole. I hope you're happy." Hearing you scream like a little girl sure did make me happy, alright. Yeah, screw you too. That wasn't even me. That was your stupid zombie chick. Who was that, your wife? My what? Does the ghost look like a zombie from that far away? You said it yourself, it looked like Charlie. Not the ghost, dumbass. The woman on the stairs. She screamed and ran up them so she could scare me into the tower. Hell, she must have been like an Olympic runner. Did you get Usain Bolt? Dean, I didn't put no woman on the stairs. Upon hearing that he would have night shifts for the next couple of weeks until they found a replacement, my friend quit and vowed never to return to that park. To this day, he swears Donnie never told him about that part being a prank or that he saw something entirely unrelated. I began to question my own participation in the night shifts and consider myself lucky that the few times I've been on it, I have been stationed at the north and eastern sectors.